record. Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome to another exciting event for BAs on the Street. And today we have the pleasure of talking with our special friend, Thea Soehren. And why we say special friend is she knows many, many people here and has a very active life within the BA community. You've probably seen her even as recently as our uh, BBAC conference here. I'm sorry, Erin, I pronounced it incorrectly, for the Bluegrass chapter, which we're honored to have her as a speaker. So now it's my turn to have that honor of being able to talk to her and really, get an understanding of who she is as a BA and just ask some questions that people may or may not ask her. And she gave me permission. So thank you everyone for joining us. This is an event where we have it's casual and we're able to interact and flex as we may. And so if there are questions from people as we're talking, feel free to ask them. Raise your hand in the chat. Aaron and Bill are monitoring it and engage with us because it's not just a two-way conversation. It's a conversation amongst all of us. So welcome. So yeah, I took the opportunity to say, what can we find out about you as a VA, right? Like what can we explore to know to share? So may I start out in that direction, kind of like giving the intro of who you are, and then you can help to correct any of the things that I may understate or misstate.
Sure. Go
All
ahead.
right, great. So. Currently, you work at Cincinnati Insurance Company,
Hmm.
and so you have amazing colleagues. I've had the opportunity to meet and engage with a number of them. So I think that that's amazing, and B that you have definitely found a place where they appreciate BAs in the work that BAs do and what it means to be one. Also, you have over 20 years of experience. You're fully vetted in the IT area. Additionally, and I'm reading from something, by the way, in case you can't tell. Your experience spans a variety of industries, including nuclear, medical, diagnostics, insurance, U.S. tax, software development, marketing, professional services, and management consulting. Wow, that is very impressive. So, in thinking about all of those industries, you've used waterfall and agile. You probably served as a project manager, an agile coach, a BA, and all of that. So, which of those did you find to be the industries? Did you find to be the most interesting, or like the BA space was kind of different than a normal BA community currently, like where you work at an insurance company with in Cincinnati?
That's an interesting question. Every single industry, every single company has their own particular interests. I really enjoyed medical diagnostics because we had to rewrite the entire laboratory management system. I didn't know very much about laboratory management systems. In fact, the second day I was there, I was pretty sure that we were having a meeting and they were throwing letters across the table talking about all the different tests. I thought they were punking me. Um, I had to learn totally different industries. I was a contractor, so I went from industry to industry because I was trying to expand my knowledge and take good stuff into the next job. Um, Nuclear was interesting because I'd never had regulatory at that level. I mean, let me back up. I worked at Hallmark Corporate before that.
Oh,
And we would get passionate about our customers and taking care of our customers, and people would get upset in meetings sometimes, and somebody would stand up and say, guys, we sell greeting cards. I mean, it was like it's just greeting cards or customized cutting boards or something like that. When you work in nuclear, people can die. And
right,
I mean, if we don't do our job perfectly, people can die. And
that's
so, and
serious.
it's a lot of people. So we had to, my focus on on doing my job really well changed depending on my industry, but I
Okay.
really took into every job. I get to learn brand new terminology. I get to learn brand new processes. I get to learn new regulations. And now I am at Cincinnati Insurance, and I've just got to say, it is the best company I've ever worked for. This is my 1 year anniversary week there. I not only love my coworkers, I love my management, and I love the organization, the values of the culture of this company. So being a business analyst here is the best I've ever found.
Wow. That almost sounds like a greeting card.
I could write greeting cards based on this.
Just calling it out. And I think I would buy that one, quite honestly. That makes you feel so warm and happy about the position where you're at. And you know, part of your a BA's career, anybody's career, is you always try to find a place where you feel good about being there, right? That greeting card warmth and like the feeling you get when you open one up that you received from somebody, and you kind of
Mhm.
want your job and your profession and the people that you engage with so much to be that nice gift, that nice warm feeling. And all of that. So your background, like I said, has a lot of very interesting nuggets in it. Are there other things about your BA background that you would like to talk about or further explore? Or I could go and dive into my trove of questions for you.
Well, let me say this. I don't hear this very much. The personality that makes a really great BA is analytical and curious and open-minded and somewhat diplomatic. Um, we have to have those four things. My parents were farmers. My father was a master electrician. My mother could take apart anything from a tractor to a sewing machine and put it back together, and it worked. And
Wow.
so I grew up always asking, why do we do it this way? And can we do it better? And how can we get this done the best way? And so I fell into business analysis before there was a profession called business analysis. I looked at a process and I went, why are they doing it this badly? I mean, they could do it so much better. And I'm dating myself, but I proposed to the director as like, y'all shouldn't be doing it this way. We should bring in computers and I can build a template and we can have three printers and y'all can do so much better. And so I became a technical project manager suddenly. But I basically I identified a process improvement and brought it in and did the training. And it was funny, there were three people in that department. They were like, I'm 1 year from retirement. I'm never touching a computer. You can't make me. And it was like, fine, fine. So I did the training for everyone else until they found out that their KPIs were going to be the same increased KPIs as everyone else's. Instead of 3 letters a day, they were now at 10 letters a day. And they came to my desk and said, would you teach one more training class? But, it was successful. And I just fell into business analysis. And I didn't know that there was a term called business analysis. I thought I made it up myself. I called myself a business analyst. And then I found the IIBA and went to my very first meeting. It took me 2 months to go because I was so intimidated. These people were real business analysts. And I went to my first meeting. And by the second meeting, I was on the board of directors as the vice president of training and started training. So
Wow.
uh, I fell into business analysis legitimately by just trying to make things better for people around me.
That that is a true calling. Did that also help you, like the thought with the process improvement in the business analyst, help you with like the direction you went with the BABAC in the work that you did there? Was that like a natural progression, or did it have some different interesting weaves to get you there?
Well, that's a hard question for me to answer because process improvement is something it's like I'm geared to it all the time. And
Hmm.
so whenever they asked me if I would be a part of writing the Babok 3.0, it's like, well, of course, and we will do it. I see the way that you do it, and I think we can make it better. And so we made it better. So I got to write the chapters, the techniques chapter, underlying competencies, and the glossary. And in doing so, I just got to organize things and make improvements where I could. Now looking back on it, it's been 10 years. We could do better now, but I'm pretty happy with where we're at.
Okay, with some new templates and the BA toolkit and a bunch of other intriguing things to kind of like mix it up a little bit. So maybe your original concept, like where you said if you create templates, where you can improve things x-fold from 3 to 10. So
Hmm.
with the changes we have in technology and all of that, maybe, yeah, that I'm
Right,
sure a lot of people are thinking about that right now, like how to just amp it up with some of the things that we have going on.
right.
Excellent. So from a a BA background, I have found that a number of people I've met throughout my time in IIBA really didn't they did not start out as I want to be a BA. This is my calling, but kind of
Hmm.
found it through different means, like saying there's got to be a community out there for people that I do, or you stumble along something and there's always that, you're right, that that fear, that intimidation, right? Like there's a group of these professionals that do these things, and then how do I become part of that, or even, like tip in the water? And a lot of the work that we and a lot of chapters, I'm sure that in this space that you're in are involved in, is like taking away that fear from people that come to meetings and say, you know what, you have found your home. No matter your skill set, whether you're brand new and you want us to help you learn and mentor, or you've been here for a long time and you probably know everything. You're to the point where like I know everything and now I know nothing. So, so with that, what do you think, what have you found to be one of the greatest, not icebreakers, but ways to make people, newer people, either to the IIBA community or just the profession, feel more comfortable, or like they just opened up that greeting card and like I am home. Any thoughts that you could share on that?
Yes. I talk to a lot of people. As the president of the Tampa Bay chapter, I'm the first point of contact for a lot of people. And they say, well, I've only been a BA for a little while and I don't think I can qualify to apply for the CBAP. And I'm like, well, what did you do before that? And they tell me. I talked to a young lady that she had worked with different law enforcement agencies to come together to take care of gangs. I mean, this was a huge endeavor. And she said, but that's not business analysis. And I said, hold on. Did you identify who you needed to talk to, in the different organizations? Did you identify what information you needed from them? Did you identify how you're going to communicate with them? I mean, I walked through literally the knowledge areas in the Babok. And by that point, she understood that, oh, that's what I was doing. I just didn't have the terminology. People are doing business analysis every single day and they don't realize it because they don't have the terminology. They don't realize that we have an established profession. So they kind of sit up straighter and they kind of go, oh, I've been doing business analysis a lot longer than I thought I'd have. And it gives them a lot of confidence.
Which is great, and also something to put on their resume or to talk to their leaders about, that not only do I do this, but I also engage in that. Did you know this? I've
Right.
had a time or two lately at work, and I have, for a long time in people's careers, you're not brave enough, or you don't think about it, and like you don't promote yourself with
Mm-hmm.
all of these skills that you have, that you've been creating, or just, in some cases just learning. And then, but when you start to explore that topic at work outside of just your immediate peer group, where you can help people understand it, it really does make a difference. You don't have to have a CBAP. I mean, it's, always lovely to get all of the certifications, and we'll talk about that very soon. But just that people want to know and they want to hear more. I mean, most people generally want to be successful at their job. They want
Mm-hmm.
to be able to take extra things on to show their value, especially in times where, there's reduction in workforces and all of that. So, like by
Right.
you sharing that, you really show that, people just with a little bit of confidence from somebody else, where you uplift them, really can make a difference, not just in, like I'm feeling good about myself, but just in your career, to really like help to bring that up and to bring forth that profession. And any thoughts on like any tips or techniques on like what I personally could do to advance that conversation about BAs within the workplace to where people really understand that there are hidden talents that we can share with others.
I think calling out whenever we do something that is a business analysis function. I mean, we know what the functions are. If we say, well, that's what we do as BAs, this follows our guidelines. Goes along with our body of knowledge. If we associate that with these things that people take as authoritative models, they'll associate what we're doing with our profession instead of, oh, I'm just helping people.
Right.
And we are helping people. In fact, I created an organization called the BA Force Multipliers, and it's a worldwide organization to help people to, number one, promote the practice of business analysis by telling stories of successes that we've had, and number two, to uplift people around them. Equip them, the people around you, with the skills, talents, information, and then tell them, equip the people around them. If we can raise everybody one person at a time, we can do it the whole world around.
Which is ideal. And interestingly enough, I just put the link to the site in our chat. But when I not stumbled upon it, but I found it, in trying to figure out ways of if I can do these subtle things at work, what else can I do? Who else can I connect with to help me be a multiplier, right? To
Mhm.
be a professional. I currently am a project manager, but I don't just do project management. I do BA. I do like many other things at the same time, which is
Right.
perfectly fine with me. And so when I was looking at this, I did notice that there's a very familiar face on here, not just yours. Do we still have Aaron here? Aaron, guess who is a force multiplier? Do you know of anybody that's a force multiplier, Aaron? Have you met
Yeah,
Thea?
he is.
Maybe, maybe. So two all-stars right here. So is anybody else here a force multiplier? And I'm just, like getting my feet wet and understanding like how epic this is. Like, wow, this is amazing.
We have 24 people from around the world that are BA Force Multiplier leaders, and we're encouraging other people to lean into our LinkedIn group. It's called BA Force Multiplier. The group is I am in, and we want to hear other people's stories. We've published stories on through that group and through the website, but we want to hear your stories of how you doing your job well made people's lives better, made projects better, made companies better, because we know it happens, but we don't stop and tell people the stories.
Right, exactly. And maybe I could get on there not as a force multiplier, but as a greeting card person and tell my story via a few
Sure.
pithy comments. I'm just trying to,
We would
I
we would
really
love
like
to
that
hear your
that that
story.
feeling there. So, and no, I'm not inviting myself. I was just trying to correlate the cards. But
Everyone is invited to tell their
everyone's invited.
stories.
So, hey, everyone here, you're invited.
Please. In fact, I've been surprised that we don't have very many people that have told their stories. And I'm honestly bewildered because it's like, I know you have stories. I know you have successes. And if you want inspiration, read some of the articles. My favorite one is the story I have, a story about Sarah, and I wrote it. It's my own experience. But it made such a profound impact on one person's life. It helped her department, it helped the project, it helped the company. And it's like we just do our jobs well. That's all it takes.
Simple as that. That is amazing. So, very, very inspirational. So, I encourage everybody to go out there and take a look and to share your stories because the stories are really what help bind us together as a community, help drive us forward, help actually improve our world as a whole, right? Because when you do BA work, it's not just because you work at a company, but you also do it in your personal life and with others, as
Mhm.
part of other volunteer activities or just a support person for somebody, who needs a little bit of a kindness in their life, right? And you can take those skills and your listening and your elicitation and all those things and really take it in many different directions and help with that. So you can have not only your best BA toolkit for your work, but you could also think about that in your family and your social life, how to build that BA toolkit for that type of activity as well for improvements in everybody's life. So I
Right.
love the vibes on this, and definitely will be sharing this with many other people. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for creating it and being inspirational in this way. So would you consider that your greatest professional accomplishment, or what would you consider your greatest professional accomplishment?
You know, I told you to ask me that question, and
You
then I
did.
went, I'm befuddled now because it depends on how do you measure greatest. Um, so
Okay.
let me talk about a few different aspects. For instance, this week, I spoke at the European BA conference with Laura Brandenburg and Tracy Edwards, Dr. Tracy Edwards now, and a few other people talking about how to show your benefit as a business analyst. I have spoken in groups around the world. That's pretty cool. I mean, I could say that was my greatest. I helped write the body of knowledge. That it could be pretty
Great.
cool. I've been on boards or leading IIBA chapters for almost 15 years, and I've probably counseled, trained, or mentored over 1,000 people to help them make their lives better,
Wow.
whether it was to become a BA or to solve a problem in their lives. Um, I don't know. My professional life is so full of giving back to my community and raising my community up. Um, I am just now starting on a brand new effort with Angela Wick and the BA Cube, and we've got a couple of other international leaders that are in there. We're going to try to do some other things. Oh, and Aaron's in that too, because I pulled him in. I told him, I said, I want you in this. Um, so my greatest accomplishment, I think, is the overall body of effort, the impact that I've been able to make so far. And I'm excited to see what I can do next and help other people, uh, help companies, do business consulting on the side. I'm working on a training program. Um, I've been asked to do several things, and I don't know what's going to happen, but lots of greatest that can be seen from different perspectives.
That is amazing. Wow. So I had the opportunity to have a conversation with Angela like not too long ago, and it was very interesting and dynamic, and she has so many things to share. So you plus her plus Aaron plus a couple other people. Wow. So what does that mean? Do we know what it means for the rest of us? Like, what special goodies we're going to receive? Are we going to get new techniques? Are we going to learn? I don't know if you can share yet. Are we going to learn how to be better professionals? Like how to, be more dynamic? What's in store for us?
Well, we have two goals. We are working with at the leader level to make the leaders better. You know, if I can say I've got an opportunity and I'd like to share this opportunity with the rest of the leaders, then y'all can lean in and do it. Or there are possibilities for co-authoring or speaking opportunities, or I need to somebody to help me train this or whatever. We're going to make the leaders better, which is going to shower down to everyone else. Number two is we want to give people that want a voice, that they say, I've got these great ideas and I just don't know how to get them out there. I don't know if I need to start a podcast or a newsletter or what. We're going to start teaching people how we do it, and just give people an opportunity to use their voice, because we've got a lot of BAs that have had unique experiences,
Right.
have developed some interesting techniques, or maybe have some new theories. We want to hear them. But if you stop at the point of, I just don't know how to do it, nobody's going to get to hear them.
Right.
So we don't want to create more noise. We want to continue the growth in our community.
Wow. That's impressive. Well, as a person leading the BAs on the street, I would like to say that one of my leaders was empowered me to be able to do the things that I do, and that's Aaron and Bill and the different leaders within the IIBA chapter. Aaron specifically has always given me an opportunity to come up with different things to try. Hence, we talk about recipes at community events where, you want to learn a BA technique, but hey, we also have some really awesome recipes to share. So just whatever it is that you can dream up, in empowering that, driving it forward, encouraging and being, just a supporting person so you can learn and grow. And so if the opportunity I've had here at the IABA Bluegrass chapter is anything at all of what I've been given, wow, that is going to be very, very powerful to show other leaders how to do that and make people feel good enough and comfortable enough and not be afraid because it is kind of scary.
It can
It
be
is kind of
scary.
scary to be able to, have that conversation or put yourself out there because, it's knowledge, it's ability to actually form a coherent sentence when you realize that you have to talk to people that you don't really know. So, wow. So I am very much looking forward to learning more about what you're doing with that and those 2 points. So um, I'm going to give an action item here, if we don't mind, Aaron. And I know I keep calling you in. So I would like, if possible, within the next X amount of months, that we report back out on the successes and where we're going with this. And that way we could share it with others in one of our events or chapter meetings or whatever. Is that something that we could possibly do? Like come back together and say, these are the leaders. Here are some things that are making this even more amazing. Bill?
Sure. Do anything you want to.
Okay. All right. So put that on our agenda because I honestly would love to have, like, even if it was a 15-minute conversation and talk about where this is going and how people can get in on it, right?
Sure.
Because because we have so many people in our community that we talk to that they're either younger or they're more mature and they're really coming into the space and they're really not quite a leader yet. But if they can find that inspirational leader, so just learning how, like personally learning how to find and engage and make that connection, because that would be a great topic for one of our social events. Like, you want to meet a leader, you want to learn some things, come and share with us, and then we can help some other people and also
Sure.
talk recipes because, you know,
Stephanie, I want to tell you something. I I saw a TED Talk years and years ago, is on the topic Wiki Speed,
okay.
WIKI Speed by Joe
Mhm.
Justice. And he's talking about a car that they're creating. And that in itself is pretty interesting, but it was the last 5 minutes that caught me and that changed my life. And it's in line with what you're talking about. What he was talking about is if each person donated an hour a week to make the world better in some way, the world would get a whole lot better.
Right.
And it's like, I was thinking at the time, I was overwhelmed. I was raising kids and stuff. And it's like, but I can do that. I can do that. And so I'd never been given permission, empowered, given handed the torch to do something like that, because I was always like, nobody wants to hear from me. I want to tell everybody listening, we need to hear from you. Find your way, find your voice, and use it. I mean, I'm going to use the Peter Parker thing, use it for good and not for evil.
Right.
Make the world a better place. But you can do something. You can volunteer for something. The Bluegrass chapter has volunteers, the Tampa Bay chapter has volunteers. And if it's not the IIBA, you can volunteer for something. And if it doesn't work out after 3 months or 6 months, do something different. But you're
Right.
going to grow and learn and be better yourself, but you're also going to make the world a better place.
Right. Absolutely. And what's so interesting about that is that coming together and spending that hour, whether it's at a chapter meeting where you have some conversation or spend a lot of time in chatting it up while the speaker's talking,
Mhm.
attending conferences, just generally hanging out. I have really yet to find anybody that engages in the BA space that isn't warm and welcoming, right? You can always find somebody who wants to either help you, spend time with you, train something, share something. It's in once you open yourself up to realize that it's really kind of a safe space. I mean, I haven't been booted out. I mean, Aaron had every opportunity to like, "Oop, kick me off, but I'm still here." So pretty safe space. And you also make some amazing friends, like, and empower your career and learn how to empower your career and how to, really think outside the box. You you start your day, you've got your plan of what you're going to do. You kick back on your all your things that you know, right? Like your muscles. And then you say, well, how do I expand those muscles? How do I learn something new when I have so much to do during the course of the day, right? Like just enough to get through the day. And then, you say, okay, another hour. But that hour, honestly, is the most powerful hour that you would have a week because you're going to
Mhm.
learn something and build that muscle and then increment yourself up. So it's kind of like this self-care, but it's also the community self-care because when you come together, that you make that happen. So it's
Right.
fantastic that you're making these opportunities for people. And so, question about that. So, one of
Uh-huh.
the things I know that you talk about is using a personality to craft communication, which now that I look at that, I'm kind of laughing because at the beginning where you're talking about greeting cards, so it's kind of like the self propelling conversation. But how, like, we have so many different personalities, right? Some people never come off camera, they never chat. You don't
Mhm.
really know what they get out of it. And many times
Right.
you see the same person come again and again and again. And then you always say hi, like, hi, Jenny, hi, Katie, hi, Angela. By the way, Angela is amazing. She's very helpful in my space. So thank you, Angela. Hi, Dora. Hi, Marisa. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Lennon. And so, like, even you think about it, so they are spending an hour with us, and
Mhm.
we hope that they walk away with at least one nugget, like one nugget of something, whether it's, you're using your personality to craft a communication, understanding how to uplift others, understanding how you can just get something out of it. What would you, for everyone that's here, what would you like for them to take away from today? Do you have any one, two, 20 things that you really just like, if they, when they walk away, what would you like them to at least focus on for just that extra minute?
Oh, goodness. I can give you some nuggets for using personality to craft communication. Number one, appreciation is highly underappreciated.
Mhm.
There's a book called The Five Love Languages. You've probably heard of it, but think about this. If I come to meetings and I say, well, I really feel this, you know that I'm a feeler, okay? And then if I leave on a trip and I come back and I bring everybody little gifts, my love language in showing love is gifts. So you know that. So how do I feel appreciated? You have hints. It
Mhm.
might be the same. It sometimes is not, but it might be the same. So how I demonstrate affection or appreciation is probably how I want to receive it. The best way to know is ask the person, if I really want to show you appreciation, what would be meaningful to you? And give them a couple of options. Appreciation is gold. Number two, people tell you who they are. They tell you their personality by their behavior. Uh, there's a phrase, I want to land the plane. It's people that they just want to get down to the nitty gritty. They don't want all of the explanation and the backstory. They just want to get down to it. Well, they show you that. And so that's how they want to have you present information to them. So take note of that. Then there's how people make decisions. You have to watch people whenever they're making decisions. You get six people in a room and you say, okay, here's the situation, here's the problem, here's the information that we have. We need to come to a decision. And you watch people, and there's four bases that they have to go around to get to making a decision. And some people will zoom around it, and some people will be stuck on second base or third base, and they need the time. I mean, honor that they need the time, but whenever you're giving them the opportunity to make decisions, understand that you're going to have to, oh, we got these people in the meeting. We got to make it a longer meeting. Give them the time and give the people that can just zoom around something else to do while they're waiting for everybody else to catch up with them.
So activities. So activities when you have a
Yeah,
blind.
something.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, but people tell you who they are. But really, the best way to get to know people is by building trust with common experiences and giving people the opportunity to share those common experiences. You'll get to find out people are standoffish at first because they don't have trust, but after that, they get over the hump and they can build trust, and they'll become more transparent, probably. Some people are private, that's okay too, but just using their personality to craft your communication to the way they need to receive it. Because let me step out for just a second. If I am a 10 in something, I'm a SME, I know everything, I can explain it all. But if my communication level is a 2, you will never get more than a 2 of information from me.
True.
I could be a 10, but I'm only presenting at 2. Well, if I need to know that you have certain criteria in the way you need to receive information, if I present it in a different way, I'm not doing my job. I mean, the purpose of communication is to convey clear information from me to you so that you understand it the same way I do. I have to understand how you receive information. I have to understand what level of detail you need and how fast you need it and what method you need it and so many things, but it's based upon your personality.
So what would I use for my VA toolkit to help me do that? Is it like the stakeholder, I'm just winging it right now. Stakeholder analysis, like how is it? Because as a project manager in this VA, that's one of my, and I talked about this last week actually in a meeting. One of the things is to try to understand who you're working with so that way you can get what you need out of them, right? Like you don't go into a project, you don't go into some requirements gathering user stories if you don't know who the people you are with, because if not, it's going to be a wild ride and you're probably not going to get as much out of it as you want, right? Because you have to like the shell game, like, okay, here's what we're going, right? Like somebody's fast, somebody's aggressive and all of that. So you have to try to like strategize on that. So what could we use?
Well, I think you're spot on. Uh, in the BABOK, they don't call it a stakeholder analysis, but in the real world, we do, right? It's a stakeholder analysis. And what I like to tell my classes is you create a stakeholder analysis with your list of stakeholders and their contact information and their role.
Right.
But then you personally have an extended list.
Yes.
And you identify this person is an extrovert. This person is an introvert. They need some time. They need warning before you ask them to speak. Give them 24 hours. I mean, just expand on your observations on their behavior, their personality, how they receive information. Some people, they want it by email, they want it on SharePoint, they want it handed to them personally,
Right.
They want a phone call. All of that stuff goes on your stakeholder analysis, but not for public sharing.
Can you
that would
imagine?
be horrible.
Yeah.
You have to remember those things.
Right.
I don't want to keep them all in my head. Because I don't trust all the details. I want to keep it documented somewhere, but keep it on the extended stakeholder analysis at your personal document.
Okay. And for everyone here, just a question. Do you have any nuggets in regards to this conversation on how you would do that? Anybody? You can put in chat if you want. If not, it's okay.
I'm opening the chat to see what they type.
Well, I was trying to get everybody to tell me in chat what nuggets they would like to take away from today. So that way, if they have any questions or have an interest, because we've talked about a variety of things, but what is interesting to them? What do they want to know from you? So does anybody have any questions? Anyone?
I did note earlier you all were talking about the way Thea gives back to the community and everything. And I put in the chat, she has spoken a couple of times to the Bluegrass chapter, most recently at our BBAC conference. on the 2nd of May, and she gave away free BA coaching sessions with her as part of our raffle, our giveaway raffle at the end, and that. So, some people are going to be able to, get some coaching and learn from, Thea's experiences.
I've
Can I?
had my first coaching session, and the gentleman was like, "I don't need coaching. I've been a business analyst for over 20 years." And then he came back and he said, "Wait a minute. I've started leading a group and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Maybe I need coaching." And so we started talking, and he was really excited by the end of it. So we're doing 4 hours.
That is awesome. So it's as easy as signing up for coaching with you?
Yep.
If you didn't win the free. Okay. I like that. That is excellent.
You used to live in Tampa Bay, didn't you, at one time?
I did. I did. I lived in Tampa Bay for 8 months, and whenever I moved there, it's like I live here. Let me get involved with the local group. It was during COVID, and we were doing everything virtually. And then whenever I moved away from Tampa Bay, it was like, why would we stop doing this thing that's good for people? I mean, we've gotten 19 people that have reached out to say our chapter's training was the reason they were able to get their certification. And out of those, 9 have gone on to leadership positions in our chapter or other chapters. So
Wow.
we're doing something good.
Definitely, definitely doing something good. Okay. So before we continue on, does anybody want to come off of mute and ask a question? It's a safe space.
I would love to answer questions.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Sure. I recently became a CBAP certified. I was wondering because I read a lot of how the knowledge is explained, the knowledge areas is explained in the book, and I wonder if for everyone, because for me, for example, is kind of particular for my experience. If everyone feels the same, that is not exactly as we have to do at work. Maybe there is some differences. It is not exactly in the Bible. I suppose in the book there is like generic situations or explanations about how the things should be
Huh?
done. But
Right.
in your own experience and in your different works that you've done, what are being the differences that you have encountered in those in your experience?
Well, Lennon, you were absolutely correct. Let me go back to when we wrote the BABOK. We were given these instructions. This document is for a worldwide audience, and we want it to be able to translate into everyone's experience the best we can, but we realize it can't. I mean, it can't be customized for you in your own job. So we had to make it kind of generic. We made it kind of like it was for a software company. Not everybody works at software companies. Um, so whenever I teach the CBAP certification class now, I say we're going to pretend like we're working in a new company called the Babok Company, and this is the way we do it here. It may not be the way you do it in the outside world, in the real world, but it's about 90% the way you really do it. And then that 10% is like, that's not how I would have done it, but that's how they need you to understand it to be able to take the standardized test. So you're right, it isn't the same. Um, we talk about the things that are in the Babok as being Baboky. It's a name, it's a word that was conjured by one of my previous students. But you're right, it isn't exactly the same. But what I like about the Babok, the business analysis body of knowledge, is it gives you ideas of things you might not have considered. And you're not obligated to use any of them. But some of them are things that whenever I read it, I was like, you know what? I haven't been doing that, and I bet you it would be useful. Or that's a different way to do it. Or these are strengths that I hadn't considered. It's just giving you more information, but it's also giving you a vocabulary of standard things that you can talk to anybody else who studied it, and you have a standard vocabulary you can communicate easily with. So I teach the Babok in the Philippines and Ireland and a couple of other countries, as well as the United States and Canada. And I have been amazed that we can all communicate extremely well because we have this common vocabulary. Does that answer your question?
Yes, 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 yes. I think as you were mentioning, is like having a structure help you to organize the terminology and the ideas. So you can talk to with another person that maybe their experience is different, but you can share the terminology and you can understand what the other person are doing.
Right,
Thank you for
right.
sharing that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Who else has a question or comment?
I thought Jenny was coming off, who came on camera. Jenny, did you have one?
I was just gonna say, what I kept hearing through all of this discussion with Thea, she's putting together BA Force multiplier, she's inviting us in, lead with love. You have to care about people to go in there not knowing anybody. And you have to be brave. You have to have courage and confidence to talk to them. Caring enough about what is important to them is how you make it an easier transition as a BA. Emotional intelligence is really important. That's what I just kept hearing. Take it or leave it. It's just my nugget.
I love that nugget. That is a fantastic nugget. And,
Yep.
and you should be just the fact that you recognize that and you exude that is fantastic because we need that. You're right, that 1 hour a week, that carrying that love language of being able to go in and talk to people. So I'm going to take that as my nugget. Jenny, I'm taking
Yep.
your nugget. I'm sorry.
Jenny always brings gold.
It is gold. A gold nugget. Okay.
Gold nugget.
I'm trying to get wealthy off that.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, anybody else have a question? Okay, and if not, so thank you, Lennon and Jenny. Appreciate you being brave and being able to ask the questions. And feel free at any given point with chat or even afterwards. So, so thinking about um, gold, right? And like, how do you have more gold in your life? I think having a certification probably helps, right? Not only because, you get the little gold that shimmers from whatever certification you get in life, plus your brain shimmers a little bit more from knowing so much more. What do you think about certifications? Do you think they're worth their weight in in salt or in gold, or should we still continue to pursue them, even if we're not going to have a professional advancement, right? Different economic times, you may not always be an opportunity, but what are your thoughts? Because Aaron had posted about an agile analysis certification, early bird pricing ends Friday.
Okay.
That was my commercial for you, Aaron. Sorry.
Yeah.
Got it in.
Helping you, Aaron. Let me tell you that I've been involved with certifications as long as I've been in the IIBA. I've been teaching, I've been encouraging people. And whenever I first joined the IIBA, I was resistant to get a certification myself, partially because I had someone say, well, you can't be a good BA if you don't have a certification. And it made me mad. It actually, I was kind of irritated and insulted because of that, because I knew I was a good BA. People told me I was a good BA. I won awards. I'm good. And I don't have a certification. And I thought about all of the people that have test anxiety or dyslexia or whatever else, and they're afraid to go get a certification. I don't want them to think that that meant that they were not good BAs. And so I resisted it for a long time. I helped write the book. I thought I taught classes for New Horizons and other groups. And then I decided it's time for me to get my own certification. For me.
And she got it last December.
I did. And here is what I discovered in the process. Teaching is very different than learning because you have a different focus. Whenever I'm teaching, I'm enunciating all the words and watching people's faces and how much time do we have and technical. It's a very different focus. Whenever you have to learn, you have to explore yourself a little bit more, things that you hadn't had to face before. You have to think about your own strengths and weaknesses. You've got to increase your discipline sometimes. That was a little hard. I had to make my brain's neuroplasty improve, which was always interesting. But in the process and in exploring, what does this mean? How is this different? because I kind of beat myself up. I help write the book. It should be easy. That has nothing to do with it. So I was exploring what was different. And what I discovered is learning just by itself means that your brain is functioning differently than just taking in, normal daily life. You're changing the way your mind works. It also makes you able to learn other things more easily. I was able to pick up things that I had challenges before because I had started training my brain to learn again. You learn as a business analyst, but this is different.
Mhm.
This is much more intense. I mean, the BABOK is over 500 pages. It's not easy stuff. In fact, I had somebody contact me say, this is really dry. Well, yes, sometimes it can be, but you can do it. I've got statistics here. As of May 31st, 22,736 people around the world have earned their CBAP. That's
Wow,
huge.
that is huge.
And that means that all of those people have gone through the same standardized tests that you have or that you are going to. They've been able to do it. Now, it doesn't mean everybody has passed. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to pass their first time. But if it can be done by that many people, it can be done, right?
Mhm.
Secondly, thing is the certifications from the IIBA have a prestige. People
Yes.
recognize them. Now, there are different certifications. We've got 7. And the CCBA, we only have 3,500 people right now that have the CCBA. So you can understand that it doesn't have as much name recognition. Maybe it's not valuable. So there's only really 2 reasons to get a certification. If it's going to be valuable to you, or if it's going to be valuable to your current or future employer. And with as many people getting laid off right now, you better know that there's a future employer out there. But I'll tell you a funny story. My current boss, Tracy, is wonderful. I'm going to say it out loud so it's on tape. Tracy is wonderful. She actually said the other day, she said, whenever I receive a stack of resumes or, files on the computer, she said, I put aside everything that doesn't have a CBAP and I start with the CBAPs. And I
Oh,
very rarely get to somebody who doesn't have a CBAP. I mean, I've heard this about CBAPs in many, many different companies, but I mean, that's current state. That's what's happening. So the CBAP has name recognition, it has demand, it has understanding. If your organization understands the value of a CBAP, it's pretty cool. Now, the other 4, the AAC, the CBDA, the CCA, and the CPOA, they don't have as much recognition, but I love to hear people say, I was one of the first ones who ever got it. Wouldn't you like to be one of the first ones? None of them, let's see, the AAC has 2,600 people. The CBDA has 830. The CCA has 473, and the CPOA has just over 1,000. Wouldn't you like to be in that group? I mean, that's worldwide, you know?
yes.
So that really makes you stand out over everybody else. The Tampa Bay chapter and the Bluegrass chapter both have efforts to get college students to come in and be part of our chapters because we want them to graduate college with not just a college degree like their 500 classmates, but what if they could graduate with also a professional certification? I
Right.
mean, don't you think that's going to put them head and shoulders above everybody else?
Mhm.
So, yes, I think this certification from the IIBA has great value, not just from the IIBA, but for your self-confidence, for your prestige at work, for your prestige in your future jobs. It's kind of nice having those letters after your name because you know you earned them. They're
Right.
not easy.
Right. Wow.
You said that, Thea. Um, you're looking at the number one CPOA or, person that obtained the CPOA,
Oh, really?
very first to sit for it. It was
Mhm.
introduced in June 2021. I, I'm I
Sure.
think that was the year. And so June 1st, really June 2nd was the first day you could sit for the exam. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
took it on June 4th, very early in the morning. And it was 3 months later, I learned that I had passed and all of
Cool.
that. So later in June, Bluegrass had their first CPOA study group, and I helped 7 other people get their CPOA that month. And it was important that month because that month IIBA was given 100% rebate on the exam fees.
That's
So
awesome.
whether you passed or not, if you sat for the exam in June, you got your money back.
It is
So,
fantastic.
yes, I do think even studying for the certification is valuable, but I think studying for it and taking it until you make it is very valuable as well.
Yeah, and I will say that that piece of paper doesn't give you ultimate wisdom or all of a sudden you are the greatest BA in the world. It's the learning that comes from the studying. So, learning by studying the BABAC very deeply or any of the other guides, that is the value of a certification. I really came on here to let you know that very early in my business analysis career, I gave a few times, I gave a presentation that was entitled, If you are not certified, you must be certifiable.
Okay. Well,
Definitely, I want to say one more thing about certifications. Finding a small group so that you can work through the study together is extremely valuable.
Structure.
structure. Yep. Okay. Well, thank you, Erin, for sharing that. I did know that actually, by the way, and still impressed to this day by that. So it looks like we are at time. And does anybody have any questions before we wrap up for today? Any further questions? Any nuggets that you want to receive before we end? Okay.
Just a comment in the chat that certification builds self-confidence. And that's one of the other benefits of certification.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today on BAs on the Street. And I have had the best time. I've learned so much from you. Very much enjoyed it. I have some great inspirations on some things that I can do, and also know that I can always reach out for some professional consulting. And very much look forward to seeing you all over the place and making leaders of the world even better, and where you're going to go with it. And by request, I'm not going to forget it. So, Erin, and I'm sure I gave you that action and you have to help me make that happen. So everyone here, please expect to see some more conversation in that direction. And so we can have some outcomes and see where it's going and how much better the world is because of it. So
That's
thank you
cool.
again. This has been absolutely delightful, and all of us greatly appreciate your time and your contributions to the BA community and just the world overall. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
you. It was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Hey, have a great night. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
And a great rest of your week, right?
Yes. And life. And life.